I just love being opening in. Right.
All right, guys, good morning and welcome to the first or second day of 2023 DAM. And thank you for being here. I know the weather's not great out there. So for those of you that showed up in person, thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for eating the food that we already had ordered. For those of you that are on the Zoom right now, thanks for calling in. There's 23 of you. That's pretty good. All right, we are going to get started here this morning. We got Jodi here with the leadership, or not, here with the State Soil Conservation Committee. She can do the rest. All right.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for that. I did expect to be morning entertainment. I have 45 minutes to speak, but I guarantee you it will not be 45 minutes. I'll give you some time to talk with your people at your table, and I'll stand up here for a while for questions, but I hope that this covers a lot of some of the questions you have about the State Soil Conservation Committee. So as Kelly said, I work with I call them the SSCC board. I also work with NDSU Extension, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Hang on. With the arrow? It's not going. Okay, there we go. So as I said, I'm with NDSU Extension. I'm located in Fargo on NDSU's campus. If you're ever in Fargo on campus, I'm up in Rural Hall on the 3rd floor. Please feel free to drop by. I am involved with Leadership Academy training. I've seen and met many of you. I also work with the 54 soil conservation districts. I've been here about a year. Previous to my position was Aaron Field, that many of you are probably familiar with. And then prior to Aaron was Bruce. How many of you remember Bruce? A few of you. So I hope to be here a lot longer than the previous 2 program directors. We have a lot to do. I'm very interested in working with the district employees as well as supervisors. I really do enjoy living in Fargo. I come from Nebraska. I was raised in Omaha, but I lived the majority of my adult life in Lincoln. I have 2 adult children. My youngest daughter is actually living with me. She attends NDSU. She's a biology major, so I hope to get her interested in natural resources at some point. I'm a big fan of college sports. I like basketball, football. You can't help but not like college football when you're from Nebraska. Although I traded one bad program for a really good program, so I'm real happy to be here. I like the outdoors. I'm big in cycling and hiking. I have yet to explore the western part of North Dakota and southern part, so I'm looking forward to that. And I have traveled a lot. In my previous life, I was a German instructor for about 15 years, and so I lived abroad for a while, and education is a big part of who I am. That's why I really enjoy the job that I do. I'd like to introduce the soil and water conservation team. We have a couple new faces. I will start on the left side. Many of you have met some of these individuals. Andrea Bowman is an extension program coordinator for leadership and civic engagement. Andrea is in the Bowman area. She works remotely. She helps me significantly with Leadership Academy. She also does a lot of work for leadership and civic engagement. Carissa Kittleson is the newest member to our team. She's our administrative assistant, started 2 months ago. So it's been very enjoyable to have her on board. You've probably got lots of emails from Carissa, who's been requesting supervisor reports from you, oaths of office, things like that. If you ever have any questions, you can either contact myself or Carissa. Lindsay Maddock is a program coordinator. So when I first started at NDSU, I came aboard as a program coordinator for Area 2. Lindsay's in Area 1. Lindsay is currently on maternity leave, so that's part of the reason she's not here. If you haven't seen her face in a while. But Lindsay is an integral part of what we do, and we're really trying to get additional program coordinators on board. We'd like to have a program coordinator for each area. We had an interview, open interview, or excuse me, we had an advertised for the second program coordinator position. It just closed February 27th. We got two really good applicants. We will be interviewing them soon. And that individual will probably be in either area 3, 4, or 5. It just depends on where they live. The program coordinators are on a grant, which goes until next June of 2024. At that time, we will be reapplying for the grant and asking for more program coordinators. So really, ultimately, I would like to have a program coordinator in every part of every area of North Dakota, because I really think that they can make a lot more impact and can be a lot more helpful and help build the capacity of the Soil Conservation District. Lastly, Jodi Broom, and Jodi is in leadership and civic engagement. She also helps with the Leadership Academy. I've mentioned before in some emails that Jodi is very much in tune with strategic planning. And I think did Dickey County just work with Jodi on strategic planning? She's very good at what she does. She's accessible and she's willing to help if you want to get together with Jodi, work on a strategic plan or a long range plan. So please feel free to reach out to any of us. We're all here to help the district. The SCD mission, obviously you're all familiar with the purpose of what you do. You advocate model conservation. That is in a variety of different areas. So farm, forest land, ranching, urban conservation. We want to protect our groundwater resources, preserve wildlife, protect public lands. We were just talking at the table today about the water quality issues, how there isn't a huge urgency with regard to water quality, but I guarantee you it's coming down the pipe that we will be really focused on water quality. So it's good that we get a jump start on that. Obviously, you're working a lot with community outreach. I really want to emphasize getting the word out about the soil conservation districts. You are a hidden gem in the state of North Dakota. And a lot of people are unaware of what you do, particularly state legislators. And this year's biennium session, I've gone to a couple of the hearings, and it's not always great things that I hear. We don't know what the soil conservation districts do. Do they do any urban conservation? Yeah, they do. And I got a great response from the district. Like, this is what we're doing in urban conservation. If you breathe the air, drink the water, eat the food, we're doing conservation here. So keep getting that word out in what you do. And again, we're trying to develop resources for that to help you. We're trying to do training to enable you to reach out more effectively. Obviously, you're supporting soil health initiatives. You're providing adult and youth education and conservation and natural resources. And I applaud you for doing that. And I encourage you to continue to do that. And then you want to build new and maintain those relationships that you have. When it comes to funding, you're all aware of START program and that state assistance funding. We're working on increasing that this year in the legislature. Obviously, mill levies, and I'll talk a little bit about that down later in my presentation. Grants, funding opportunities is very important, as well as district services. And I know later in the programming, there are going to be some districts talking about some of the unique services that you do. There are a lot of different ideas out there. And I encourage you to meet with your neighboring soil conservation districts, ones from different areas, talk to them. What do you do? How do you bring in money? And I know there's a vast array of services out there. There's also a lot of differences in the money that was brought in through the state assistance fund and also the mill levy. So if you can learn from your fellow employees, please do. You guys are boundary spanners. And that was a big part of what my research was. What is a boundary spanner? And really, to put it simply, you connect knowledge, you connect people. Don't underestimate the value of what you do. It's very critical. I see that the Soil Conservation District as a connector, that you're linking the public to different programming, different agencies. You're linking knowledge. Sometimes you're transferring and translating that knowledge. That's a very important role that you provide. Some of the partners I've talked about, work with your neighboring district. We have a lot of turnover in the Soil Conservation District. and a lot of employees who aren't really sure that once they get in there, what am I supposed to do? Contact your neighboring soil conservation district. I know the Employees Association is working with a mentor program, which is fantastic because you need that assistance. We have a lot of well-educated and experienced district managers, district clerks, district techs that have been here a long time. Utilize what they know. Extension is here for you. We can provide technical information using our extension specialists, leadership training, facilitation, conservation planning. There's a lot we can help with. Please reach out to us. Obviously, you have the Employees Association, the State Association, DEQ, your state's attorney. And I think the state's attorneys sometimes are underutilized. Don't be afraid to reach out to your local state's attorney. The NRC staff that you work with, and there are other partners. You have Game and Fish, you have the Forest Service, tribal colleges. I'm really working to try and get more information out there about, these are some of the potential partners and partnerships that you can work with. And I always like to share this slide, this organizational chart, just to kind of give you an idea of where soil conservation districts fit. And if you see, you are in the center, you are in the heart of this hierarchy, so to speak. If you look on the left side, you've got the legislature, then extension, the NACD, NDSSCC, and the Employees Association. But on the other side, you've got the program director, myself, and RCS, and then all your other partners, and then you have DEQ. So look at where you are. Don't forget when I say you're that linker, that boundary spanner. You have the I hate to use the word power, but you are very important in what you do, and I'm going to keep hammering that throughout this presentation. There's a lot that you can accomplish. You are the face of conservation. And I wanted to just take a closer look at some of the partner organizations, a little bit more of a providing definition of what some of these organizations do. So the State Soil Conservation Committee, they are they provide administrative overview of program planning assistance to the conservation district. So the funding comes from the state to extension through the SSCC to the SEDs. You have NACD, which is the National Association of Conservation Districts. So they advocate for soil conservation districts at the national level, very critical to federal funding. You have the NDSSCC, which is your Association of Soil Conservation Districts. They advocate for the district at the state level, provide membership, help you carry out soil conservation district planning. And then you have the Conservation District Employees Association, which you are very familiar with. So it's always fun learning all these acronyms. So what is new? I want to briefly touch on some things, some policies that have come out, not necessarily new, but we try to not necessarily codify, but kind of simplify the process. So currently so with the SEDs, you go to the Century Code 4.1 through 20, you have all the statutes that deal with the soil conservation districts. And if you go to 4.1 2018, you look at if the office of any supervisor becomes vacant, the remaining supervisors with the advice and consent of the SSCC shall fill that vacancy. I think we kind of just glossed over that. It was easier just, hey, we have a supervisor vacancy, and we're talking elected supervisor vacancy. Kind of just blow over that and we'll just appoint somebody. We really need to get back to what the Century Code is saying about working with the SSCC. And we need to make this easy for you. So but what we did is basically, if you have an elected supervisor position that becomes vacant at any time during the year, you find that individual that you would like to appoint, send the name to me. I will get a hold of the board member that represents your area. We only have 5 areas. I will contact that person, ask for their approval within 24 hours. Usually I get it within an hour, and then I get right back to you. It's that seamless. And in that way, we're working with the Century Code. We are following what needs to be followed. Training. This would be 4.1 2019. You're all familiar with this. So the Century Code says, as soon as practicable, after an individual is elected or appointed, so it doesn't matter how that supervisor gets there, we need them to participate in annual training. I understand you are not the keepers of the supervisor, but you have a lot of influence in them sometimes. And I really rely on you to kind of help them, manage what they need to do. Right now, there are 3 options. You can attend the Leadership Academy training, session 1 or 2. You can attend the State Soil Conservation Association meeting. And then 3, we have a conservation video in our shared OneDrive. You can review the assistant AD PowerPoint and then attend one area or district conservation event. Yes, we did lose all our training videos that we had, YouTube videos. And I look at that as a curse and a blessing. There's always a time to kind of reinvigorate things. And the decision was just made for us. We don't have them anymore. So we're thinking about doing this a little bit differently, where we develop micro lessons, 10 to 15 minute lessons that we will obviously post online, but we will send out to the districts in hope that these micro lessons, which you can view online, can be shown at board meetings. And then immediately those supervisors can get that training. In addition, it's going to be information that the district employees will want to know as well. So that's kind of in the works. Bear with me. It just takes time to get these videos developed. So that's kind of coming down. The Leadership Academy training, since I have become the program director, we had one in December in Carrington. We had one in January 2023 in Watford City. We had great attendance. It went really, really well. I was really pleased with the Watford City Leadership Academy. We are going to do another one probably in June. We want to make it available to district employees, and I know with tree planting, it starts around April, can go to early June, so we're really trying to avoid that time. We'll get the dates out there, but we're kind of looking into June. We're thinking about maybe doing a session 3. We're not sure yet, but when we decide, that information will come out. We are also going to be doing area meetings, and I'm sure that's something that Rhonda Kelly will talk about a little bit. The area meetings usually were with the state association meeting in November. They are going to eliminate that and reinstitute or bring back the area meeting. We plan to have some training at those area meetings. I would like to tailor the message, the training component a little bit to your area, because I realize not all areas are created equal. You have different conservation needs and wants. And then of course, fall convention, last year we had the assistant AG Allison Hicks speak. We'll probably bring in another speaker that is well informative and can be very helpful. And all of this, it allows supervisors to get training. We're trying to make this as easy as possible. So it's not something that district employees have to like hound their supervisors with. We're really trying to make this as seamless as possible. Lindsay Maddox is working on an onboarding checklist for new district employees that come in. She has a small group of district employees that are working with her. Obviously, it's on hold, but once Lindsay is back, which should be around the end of April, she will get that out to everybody, and hopefully it will kind of help in that transition for new employees. We have started webinars, district webinars, and we began that in the fall. We've had 2, and they've been really successful. The first one dealt with social media tips and tricks. We brought in Stacey Wayne, who is a NDSU extension specialist, 45-minute presentation. We opened it to all the districts. We leave time for Q&A. And then I believe in December, we did a website development and then with Cat and Company, which was great. In March, we are bringing in Sarah Tungy, and she's going to talk about the DART programming tool. It's going to be March 28th at 1:30. We will be sending the Zoom link out. So it's a perfect time to join us if you have questions about DART. Sarah is the expert in that, and she will be able to update you on some things, give you some well-needed education on DART if you're not real familiar with it, and then be open for questions. We are also looking at other webinars. We've had some district employees ask us for a webinar on basic office management, audit prep, workforce development, OHF and how it works, grant writing. If you have any ideas please shoot them to me. We want to be responsive to you. And again, right now, we're trying to do it every other month, these Zoom webinars, but we can make them monthly if we get more topics that we can find the individuals to present. There are resources out there. Ultimately, my role is to build the capacity of the district. I am not the person who has all the answers. I want to make sure that you have the resources to find the answers. You can go to the Employees Association website. They have a lot of great information, a lot of tabs. It's really user-friendly. We have a shared OneDrive. And Lindsay had sent that link out. If you need it, I've asked Carissa to send it. We can resend it. In that shared OneDrive, we have uploaded webinar trainings, templates, some videos, how to do outreach. There's a lot of information. We're going to try adding to this resource so it becomes bigger. Ultimately, I would like to get some podcasts up there that pertain to conservation work, more technical webinars. So we're really working on making that resource more comprehensive. Again, you can go to your state's local attorney. I cannot, as much as I'd like to say I can understand the law, it's a struggle for me also to interpret certain statutes. And I'm not allowed to do it. So if you have a question, I would contact your state's attorney first. If you don't get anywhere with your state's attorney, then I would recommend going to the assistant AG. Allison Hicks is wonderful if you can get a hold of her. She's really busy right now because of the session, but just keep sending those emails and hopefully she'll get back to you. But she is your source for legal interpretation of statute. I want to talk a little bit about the State Soil Conservation Committee structure. There are 5 elected members on the State Soil Conservation Committee, 2 appointed. And these appointed board members are appointed by the governor. The elected members come from the 5 soil conservation district areas. So each of you has a representative on the State Soil Conservation Board. And this election of your representatives happens at the North Dakota Association of Soil Conservation District area meeting. They serve 3-year terms, so no more than 2 in a row, and then there's 1-year appointed term. This is always a real handy thing to have, so you know your area. And then you know your districts that are in your area. So if I say, reach out to a neighboring district, you know exactly who it is. I also encourage you, if you want to reach out and partner with a district that's in another state, feel free. I know that there are some districts that do that. So here's the map of the soil conservation districts. There's 54 of them. Those are the areas, how it's broken down. As I mentioned, Lindsay Maddox is in area 1. And when we bring on our new program coordinator, they will either be in area 3, 4, or 5. And this is the list of your SSCC board member representatives. So if you are unfamiliar with who they are, this is your opportunity to find out. They are all very approachable. Please invite them to a board meeting. I know that if they can't make it in person, they can Zoom in. We also have 2 appointed, Anthony Mock, who's brand new, and Kelly Fosterman, who they're there just to kind of do an overall representation, but great people to work with. Elected SCB supervisors. I know all of you know this, but I'm just going to repeat it anyway. It's created by petition. Petition is submitted to the county auditor. Each nominated individual goes on a no-party ballot. You elect 3 supervisors. It occurs every 2 years in the general election, 6-year staggered terms. I admit we've kind of gotten off track a little bit, but that's the way it goes. And you basically serve until your successor is elected and qualified. How can you be a district supervisor? You must be a land occupier and physically live in the district. You do not need to own property. So when you're looking, or when you're assisting your board and looking for a supervisor, really expand where you're looking. And it could be somebody that rents. And it doesn't have to be a producer. You can really get ingenious on who you want on the board. And we're putting together a board or a supervisor job description. which I think will be really helpful, as well as here's some suggestions on who to look for, rather than just, defaulting to, well, we had a producer, so we're just gonna have another producer. And again, I know a lot of this is, should fall on the supervisor's shoulders, but in the event that it doesn't, or you want to assist them in the process, we will be sending out some resources for you. The appointed supervisors, so after the 3 supervisors are elected, those supervisors appoint 2 additional supervisors who serve 1-year terms. They are treated the exact same way as the elected supervisors, same voting abilities, powers, duties, their expenses are paid by the district. Oaths of office. I know we've been talking a lot about that through our emails. We need your oath of office. If you want your supervisor to be valid, so to speak, you need to have a signed and notarized oath of office. Right now, the process is send the original to the Secretary of State, just full, send a copy to my office. We're thinking about trying to streamline that. We want to make your job a little bit easier. At this point, that is the process. Original to Secretary of State, copy to me. But needless to say, we need those oaths of office. So if you haven't gotten in your oath, please send them in as soon as possible. The mill levy, basically, again, that really ranges. There are some districts who do a 0.5, and then there are some who take a whole 2.5. One thing I want to keep in mind is, well, first of all, you're a political subdivision. That's important to know. You do not need permission to raise the mill levy up to 2.5. That said, don't try and pad your budget, because that is one way that a county auditor or commissioner can come in and say, no, you're not going to do this. But that doesn't mean you can't save for buying some equipment or a new tree shed. I mean, there are reasons where you want to accumulate a savings. Just kind of straddle that line. Required forms that we need, an updated conservation plan of work. It is in the Century Code that you need to develop a detailed and accurate plan of work. And I know they're called lots of different things. You have conservation plan of work, annual plan of work, business plan, whatever you call it. If you could send that to Carissa or myself, I would like to review it. We need the district reorg forms, the supervisor training report. We need meeting minutes, approved meeting minutes. Obviously, if you're putting your quarterly DART reports, I believe that Carissa sent out a district employee contact list. This list is only as good as the information that we have. So if there is somebody not on that list that is in your office and you want them in that list, please let us know. We will put that person on the list. If the name isn't on there, there was no reason that we didn't put it on there. We just didn't know. If somebody leaves, let us know. If somebody comes into your office and begins working, let us know. This is how we contact you. A couple questions have come up. Why do you need the conservation plan of work? What is the reason why? There's nothing nefarious about it. It is required in the Century Code that you have a conservation plan of work that is published. There are districts that put it on the website, their website. I would recommend that you have a hard copy somewhere, or it's in your computer and you can easily access it if somebody from the public walks in and says, I want to see what you do. That's the first reason that we want you to have that conservation plan of work. Next, if you want to raise that mill levy, it's really good to have a plan of work to demonstrate why we're doing this. You have somebody that is saying, you don't deserve this money. You can say, yes, we do, and this is the reason we do it. Also, it's a roadmap for your district. It's really hard to get from A to Z if you don't have B, C, D, E, F in the middle of it. We really are working on, let's get more detailed plans. We have a real nice Excel spreadsheet, conservation and plan of work that you can just put things into it. It's that simple. And the last reason, it gives me a better understanding of what your district goals and objectives are. I really like to know what you're doing because I can't get to all the districts. I'm going to try, but this gives me a sense of this is what you're doing. I'm not checking up on you. I just want to know, because part of my job is to help build capacity and provide resources. If I don't know what you're doing, I can't really help. So again, it's very helpful in so many ways. And if you ever have questions about something that I'm asking about or requesting, please call me and we'll have a conversation and I'll explain, because I don't like to ask for things without a reason. You deserve that much to know why I'm asking for this. I'm almost at the end. District financial reports and audit. This is kind of a murky business. There currently, if you scroll down briefly on this, fiscal year prior to July 2021, you didn't have to do an audit if the receipts were less than $300,000. Well, then the 67th legislative assembly came around and they said, 2022, now if you have receipts less than $750,000, you don't have to do an audit. Well, guess what? There's another bill in the House or in the legislature right now. If you have receipts less than $2 million, you don't have to do an audit. It's moving along. It got passed, I believe, in the Senate. So, right, that doesn't mean you don't do financial reports. I don't want to give you false information here, but with the audit, things are changing. Again, I am not the person to be asking about the specifics. Please contact the state auditor's office. You will get this PowerPoint, you have access to it. And I put a lot of emails in so you can find the right people and get the right information. But I'm glad to see that they're moving away from yearly audits, annual biannual audits for districts, because I know it puts a lot of pressure on you as well as the financial burden. The Employees Association Online Employee Handbook. And if you go to tab 5, to district operations, there is a records retention schedule, pages 1 through 5. So I've had some questions about that. Fortunately, the Employees Association has this, and I think, all those people who sent me, hey, Jodi, it's already there. Go to the employee website. There it is. And then lastly, the procurement policy. I've had a lot of questions about purchasing, bidding, and I have been trying to get an answer from Allison Hicks for over 2.5 weeks. Can you explain the process to us? What are the specifics? Right now, I have this information that you can follow. I also have a 2-page handout on bids and purchasing that I can provide to the district if you want it. I think what I'm going to do is put it on the shared web drive so you can access it. It was made in 2019 by, I think, Nicole. I can't remember Nicole's last name, but she worked for NDSU Extension. And it's pretty clear what you need to do, but there's still a lot of loose ends, I think, that are out there. And so as soon as I get an answer, I will send something out. And that is all I have. So I think that was a little bit longer than I thought it was. But I really enjoy working with everybody. Please introduce yourself to me. I'm going to try my best to get to the districts in the Northwest part of the state this summer. I do work a lot. Really, I am supposed to be working on building capacity as a supervisor, but it's really important to me that I meet these employees because they're really the backbone of the districts. And everybody has been so friendly and welcoming. I really enjoy my job. I've been doing this for a little over 3 months, and I have a lot of respect for what you do. Just keep up the good work. And again, feel free to reach out to me if you ever have any problems. Or if I'm not getting the right information. It's all a learning experience for all of us, but particularly me. So if you have any questions, I'm willing to answer them right now, or you can shoot me an email.
No questions. Great. I don't think I even need to. Again, if you have any questions, just get a hold of me. And if you're ever at Fargo, please reach out to me. Thank you.
I do. I'll do this.